Don't judge me. Don't judge me. I'm on my lunch break right now. And this is not snot, just so you know. I have a zit in my nostril. So you get to look at that. Anyway, welcome back to my nightmare. I am in the middle of plotting my third book. I'm stressing out because my second book is with the beta readers, but I have to upload it in 2 weeks and no one has returned it to me yet. And I'm just like, I know you don't have like unlimited time to just sit there and like read my book, but I'm stressing because I'm really bad at deadlines, and if I don't make this deadline, I don't get to upload to Kindle unlimited, or no, I don't get to do a pre-order for another year. Like I'm banned from doing pre-orders if I miss this one time. So I'm at work stressing out, and I don't know if that I'm gonna actually ever post this because this is a weird video to make, but I want to tell you about the time that a friend breakup caused me to find out that my grandfather had died. Okay, this is a good one. Like, I like this one. And how that influenced the book I'm currently working on. Down with my mouth, folks. I'm on lunch. So, I had an estranged relationship with my grandfather. He did some stuff I didn't really care for. I did some stuff he didn't really care for. We didn't get along. However, he's my mom's dad, and she was in contact with him. Until very recently. I think she last talked to him in like May or June. And, you know, that's her dad, you know. So, in June, I had a falling out with a friend, and it is 100% my fault. Like, I mean, my therapist probably disagrees with you because we fight about this a lot, but I'm still mourning the loss of this friendship, even though it was my fault, and I effed up pretty bad. I'm still sad about it. So, early days, like a month in, what I would do is, if I, like, at random, I would check my Instagram stories to see if this person was checking up on me. Because sometimes, before the falling out, they would pop up in my, like, who viewed your stories, right? This person has better boundaries than I do. They have not checked up on me. They are over it. They are done. They are not coming back. I need to get over it. But one morning in July, it was a Monday at like 3:30 a.m. I think it was like the second or third week in July. I couldn't sleep. It was one of those nights where my brain was just going a million miles an hour. Could not sleep. So I rolled over, pulled up Instagram, and just decided to check and see if she had gone through my stories, which she had not, because she, again, has better boundaries than I do. But I noticed in checking who viewed my stories that my cousin, who I don't really talk to, her profile picture had changed to a picture of my grandfather, which I knew could only mean one thing. Sure enough, I click over to her page. My grandfather, my biological grandfather, was dead. Had been dead for more than a week or two. A little fuzzy on the timeline. And not a single person had called to tell his daughter, my mother, that he was dead. My step-grandmother hates us, and she's asked us to call her step-grandma or grandpa's wife. We're not allowed to call her grandma. So, she doesn't like us. Step-grandma didn't call to tell my mom that her own father had died. So it's 3:30 a.m. My mom also has disordered sleep patterns. So I heard her. She gets up at like 4 a.m. to make my dad's lunch. And that night she must not have been sleeping very well, because I heard her above me moving. I'm like, oh, mom's awake. And me being stupid, being in mourning over my friendship, whatever, not thinking the best, I went, I'm going to go tell her. Now we're in the process of saying goodbye to my grandmother, her mom. I don't know why I didn't think that this might not be a great idea, but I went upstairs and I was like, hey. And she's like, what's wrong? Why are you awake? What's wrong with your face? Because my face was doing something like. And I was just like, hey, just so you know, he died. Like, granddad died. And she's like, what? And I was like, yeah, like 2 weeks ago. And she's like, and no one called to tell me. And I was like, no one called to tell you. He's been dead for a while. And she's like, well, how did you find out? And I was like, my cousin updated their picture on Instagram, and I clicked over to their profile, and he's dead. He's gone. Not only was he gone, the funeral had been held and the obituary had been published. She's not even listed as his daughter because my aunt, her sister, decided that she didn't want her 2 kids to know about our family. So they just cut us off and didn't tell anyone that he had this other daughter. We were never allowed to take pictures with him. And that's why I stopped caring for him, because I'm not anyone's secret. If you can't be proud of having me in your life, if I start to feel like, and that was actually one of the triggers of this friendship thing, is like, I felt like I was some kind of secret. Like we were friends in private, but maybe not friends with like our friend group in the same way. And I was a little bit like confused and upset about that. So like, and it comes from this trigger of my grandfather, like having kept me secret for our whole life, right? I'm never allowed to tell anybody about it. He was like our secret grandpa. It was effed up. I hated it. I gotta go back in soon. But so anyway, that's influencing my story because I couldn't figure out, my stories are set on weekends. They're given a very short, like 4-day, like timeline. They're given a very short, very specific timeline. So you only get 4 days with these characters. They fall in love over the course of these 4 days. That tends to be the formula that I'm working with. And right now I have a salon themed story. Could not for the life of me figure out how to start this story. And then I was like, Avery, start with your grandfather dying. So the character had been raised by a grandparent, and it starts out, it's spoiler alert, just in case you read it. Spoiler alert, it starts out with her finding out that this grandparent had died in a similar way to the way mine died. Now, she was actually fond of her grandparent, whereas I am not. But it's such a dramatic and tacky way of finding something out. And just really kind of shows, I think, how classless people can be sometimes. That I was like, I have to use it. Like, I'm going to be using this trauma for the rest of my life because I had to go tell my mother that her father was dead. On what planet should I, as the grandchild, have been ever put in that position? But, so yeah, so that's how, for me, I'm using my writing to kind of process these feelings, because I have grief over my grandmother, I have grief over this friendship, and I have grief over my grandfather. Even though I didn't really care for him, there is still a weird like feeling there that I'm trying to process with my therapist. So I was like, you know what, we're just going to write this out through this character, and that's just how it's gonna be. And that's how, like, a lot of my stories have basis in reality, even if they are fictional, just because they're usually me trying to process some emotion. Like the loss of this friendship is going to be processed in a book I have called Falling for Apple. Much happier ending like than what actually happened. But like, you know, so it's just, I thought you might find it interesting to talk about how I process things and how I turn those things into stories. So thank you for having lunch with me today. I'm going to go back inside and get back to work. I'm really enjoying my new job. Keep fingers crossed that I can keep it, because we're having some insurance problems and I do kind of need my therapist. If you like this video, please consider liking, commenting, subscribing, sharing it with a friend. And Seems a Bit Queer is out now, so make sure you head over to Amazon and check that out. Until next time, go outside, get a walk, get a snack, have lunch in your car on a beautiful day in August, and I will see you next time. Bye!